And welcome to the Nerd Run, your place to come for action figures and their mythology. Joe, what are we talking about in this episode?
We are talking about one of my all-time favorites, Jono, and that is the Dash Rendar figure from way back in the mid-90s, this Shadows of the Empire figure. This was like the Star Wars Legends days. What was it called back then? It wasn't called Legends, it was called Expanded Universe, right?
It was called Expanded Universe. Although, was this Expanded Universe? This is my big question because I did a bit of research and I do remember Shadows of the Empire. And by the way, this is from our collection. So, unlike our longer episodes, this is more stuff that we already own. Yeah, but did I hear that they called it like a multimedia event?
It was
So,
absolutely a multimedia event. So this was a book which I've just recently read again for probably the 15th, 20th time or so.
never read the book.
Oh, it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. So it is a story between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and it tells about Leia, Chewie, Luke, and the droids and whatnot, and Lando, trying to rescue Han Solo, who's in prison in Carbonite. And this introduces this new character, Dash Rendar. Now, Dash Rendar takes the place in a lot of ways of Han Solo in the story. So, like I said, there is a book which tells a specific part of this story. There is a
Yep.
comic series which tells a very
I have that.
similar run of the story, but from a little bit of a different perspective again. There is
Cool.
there was the Nintendo 64 game, which back in the
Yes.
day was incredible. I have not played it for a very, very long time. I still own the cartridge, but yes, it was amazing.
Do you have a
Then they,
box still?
I have the box, but it's not in the best condition. A lot of these were the cardboard box days
Yeah, yeah,
for
exactly.
the game, so
That's still cool that you got the box.
I've still got it. Yep, there was a figure range, so which this figure has come
Yep.
from, and there was the standard figure sizes plus the Outrider, which was Dash Rendar's incredible ship,
Yep.
which we've been looking on eBay recently for
We
some
certainly
of
have.
the sellers that are out there, because that's one thing I don't have in my collection that I'd love to have. There was also a trading card range with
Yeah, let's
this
do.
as well. I think that was Tops, and there was a soundtrack. So this kind of
Yep.
multimedia just was really multimedia. And there was also a book. I don't think I'm missing anything else, but there was like a making of book about how
Oh,
it
there's a
all kind
making
of.
of. Oh,
I've got
wow.
that
Okay.
one as well. So
Oh,
pretty much, yeah. I'm. This is this was a very big deal at the time. The
yeah.
only thing that's really missing is a movie of it, some sort of. And I've said for years I would love an animated movie of this.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Because I do remember this coming out as well. And this was, I think, before we were friends.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm as big a Star Wars fan as you are. I do enjoy Star Wars. And Shadows of the Empire, I was like, do I, don't I? The Outrider to me was, well, like it kind of transformed like the
Mm.
B Wings in a way, but not. And then it clearly is based off the Millennium Falcon. But yeah, I
And it's a ship which is in the movies. So it was put in to the Star Wars Special Edition in A New Hope. So they kind of, with all the changes, it was there on Mos Eisley. I'm pretty sure it was A New Hope.
yeah.
But it was also at the end, some people have spotted it at the end of Rise of Skywalker in that kind of big
Oh,
ship
the
battle
best.
there.
Oh,
It's supposedly there as well. So somehow Dash Rendar is there in these movies one way or the other. And the story kind of starts in Shadows of the Empire, and you played in the game as well, that he was there on Hoth,
okay.
in the kind of snow speeders as well. So, yeah, big character in the kind of mythology, but I guess in a lot of ways, yeah, now it's kind of considered legends.
Yeah. What made Dash one of your favorites?
Oh, he was just, I just found him really cool. Like, I loved he was like a very confident, very, toe to toe with Han Solo sort of thing, even though
Yeah.
he was the Han replacement.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of the game back in the day, and that's a game that I played through time and time again. Yeah, and like this figure here, you can see he's a burly looking, like kind of a built
Yeah.
looking dude. He's kind of like Cable from the X-Men. Like you can see the kind of
Yeah.
similarities with his design.
Although that being said, it was the 90s, and was it? I mean, like even Luke was stupidly buff at that point in time in action figure ways.
Well, even Princess Leia was, and they had to redo that. That was not great. But yeah, and like this figure here, like you can see with the packaging, the little drawing of him. So throughout the wave of these Shadows of the Empire figures, they had these kind of glossy um, pictures of the characters. It just looked so premiere. Like it was like it wasn't just a standard figure. This was something special. And this figure here, you can see it was so cool in terms of playability. He had this gun, or he has this gun. I've actually got this figure boxed and unboxed in my collection.
Oh, I didn't
So
realize you had both. Oh, wow.
I've
Okay.
got to play with this. Like this is one of those ones you got to play with. And the
Oh, I think
gun,
you'll play with all of them.
absolutely. But the gun kind of like sits on his shoulder as kind of like a backpack. It's like so
Yep.
big. And I used to play with it like this was like a robotic thing. So he'd have his little hand blaster in one hand, and that other thing would just kind of shoot up and it would kind of take care of business.
Yeah, I definitely see your point as to that cable-esque feel to it. Yeah, I mean that cable was invented in the '90s too. For those of you that have, watched other episodes and realized we're big Marvel fans as well, so that's
Absolutely.
really cool. Okay, so here's my contentious point. I'm going to ask you a question, which is kind of loaded because I know the answer, but I really want to see where you come at it from.
Okay.
So, why haven't we seen Dash before? Since Shadows of the Empire.
Well, I guess so like I said, there's lots of different stories. So in one story, and I think it was the N64 game, there was like an ending where it was like an after credits scene. I'm pretty sure it was, and you saw that he survives the final battle. But in I can't remember if it was I read the book recently too, so that's a bit embarrassing. But I think it was in the comic. He it's implied that he doesn't survive.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of jumps away, and they just kind of left it because this is not a character that appeared in Return of the Jedi. So I guess
Yep.
in terms of the mythology of the Star Wars universe, well, they had to kind of make him just go away. Um,
Yep.
but look, I'm pretty sure he's kind of popped up in certain other Star Wars things from time to time like in games and whatnot. I also remember I missed one thing that within the line of
Yeah.
Shadows of the Empire, there was a Micro Machines. I think it was only a few, but there were Micro Machines toys as
Yeah.
well. And again, I've got a couple of those still boxed. I don't know why, but I've got a little Prince Shizor who's the bad guy from this series
Yeah.
who sits on my desk at work. So he's actually in front of my computer.
Oh, nice.
Like,
Oh, so you had a spare one or something, did you?
I don't know where I got this spare one from, but somewhere along my many years of collecting, and this is I think it was like 95, 96 that
Yeah.
Shadows of the Empire was out. But
Yeah, it was
look,
just before the special editions. So it was meant to like be a lead into them, I think.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I really think like we're seeing this whole, the What If and the Star Wars. Is it called Legends? A new series coming to Disney Plus.
Oh no, it does have another name, and I'm drawing a complete
I know
blank.
there's
I'll
been
let you
Star
know.
Wars Infinites before, there's Star Wars
Yep.
Tales and all these different comic series. But I would love to see an animated Shadows of the Empire story. I think it's just such an incredible book, regardless of I to this day know the first line of that book, and it is he looked like a walking corpse or something along those lines, and it's Shizor describing the Emperor, and I just love this kind of,
That's fantastic.
it is such a cool, yeah, mythology there to it.
That's really cool. So for anyone collecting these today, out of the whole Shadows of the Empire line, well, I think I know the answer to this one. Is there a piece you think is, core to this? Is it Dash?
Oh, look, you've got Dash, but you've also got this really cool looking Chewbacca figure who in his bounty hunter disguise. So part of the story was that Chewbacca, because he's Chewbacca, everyone knows Chewbacca, he had to look different. So they kind of gave him this, it was kind of like a crop top thingy like a really flat haircut.
A flat top?
Flat
Yeah.
top, not a crop top, thank you. A flat top. And like that's a really cool figure too, very different. It's like you don't get many variations on Chewbacca. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
my love of collecting R2D2s. When there's a different R2, you got to get that one. This different Chewbacca is really cool. But yeah, it's got to be like the ship, and it's got to be the swoop as well. There was a swoop
Yep.
kind of figure made at the time as well.
Guy with a
It
red
was
helmet, if I'm not mistaken, or was a red suit.
pretty.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that one, but that kind of swoop from the series has become iconic in Star Wars. And again, we saw the Shadows of the Empire-esque swoop in Star Wars Special Edition, kind of
Yep.
brought into Mos Eisley. So the influences from this series have really come into Star Wars in a lot of ways when they kind of were doing that, that kind of Special Edition time. But the Outrider is one of my all-time favorite ships as well.
I'm really surprised you haven't got it. Okay, last question. So, out of the things you just mentioned, do you have the Chewbacca and do you have the swoop?
No, I've got like I said, the Dash and the other Dash. I've got a Prince Shizor, and
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I've got all the Micro Machines. I don't know why. I've got
Yep.
I've got the books and the comics, and there was actually a sequel comic to Shadows of the Empire as well, which was
Yeah.
about Shizor's droid
Uh,
companion.
yep.
And yeah, there was that's all the range that I've got.
Okay, that's really cool. That's really cool. Also, it's Star Wars Visions is the what if esque Star Wars series coming to Disney Plus in the near future. So, hopefully, if this is wet your whistle, maybe they'll address that going
Oh,
forward.
please.
Thank you so much for delving into Star Wars with us, Joe. I do love your Star Wars knowledge. It's been fantastic. This has been the Nerd Run, and we'll catch you next episode.